I'm Sabrina Tayus. I work at St. Louis University. I'm the director of the undergrad program. And I just want to tell you guys, the director of our program at the School of Social Work, his name is Don Lindhorst. He graduated from here, and he grew up here. He said that I had to pass by his farm to get here. So he's really from here. Yeah. He said up until the time he was 21, he had never been out of the state except for one time. His parents made a wrong turn and ended up in Illinois, and then they found their way back, and he's never left the country. And in the School of Social Work, when I tell you about it in a bit, we take students out of the country every year. Like every August, we go to either Africa or Mexico. We go to Accra, Ghana, or we go to Cuernavaca, Mexico. Every third December, we take students to India. So our students just got back from Africa in August, and we're planning a trip now to Mumbai, India for this December. They'll be leaving the day after Christmas and come back a couple of days before the semester begins. And anyway, we're always trying to get him to go. He doesn't even own a passport. So, but you know, his son is in our program, and he did a semester abroad in Madrid. He just got back last year. And so anyway, I'm way off topic here. Anyway, I'm just want to tell you about him. Anyway, I'm Sabrina, and I'm going to tell you just a little bit about our social work program. Most of our students, we get very few freshmen in social work. Most students who come to our university don't even know social work exists or never consider it as a major. Most students who come to St. Louis University want to be doctors and lawyers and dentists and things like that. Around about the end of their second year, most of them realize they're not going to be a doctor for whatever reasons. Either they can't handle the math, they don't want to study that hard, or just because they said they wanted to be a doctor when they were 10, they're over it. And so, but they still want to help people, and that's how we get students. Around about the end of their second year, sophomore year, spring semester sophomore year, first semester of junior year, they go looking for another major that helps people, because social workers, we help people, right? And so that's how we get most of our students. We probably get maybe 5 freshmen a year, 5 to 10 a year. Most of them transfer to us in their second year. What we do though, all students at the university have to take the same general ed courses, like the English, the history, a couple of semesters of a foreign language, math, art, sociology, psychology. All of our students take that, as well as like philosophy and theology. They take all those general ed courses, so by the time they get to us, they haven't wasted any time. They've been taking the courses we require them to take. And our students have to do 18 hours of electives, meaning they can do anything. So the courses that don't fit with our major, they can put them into those electives, like those pre-med courses or those nursing courses or whatever. So they haven't wasted time. So when they come to us, they're ready to take their social work courses. We recommend that anyone who's considering social work take the intro course, because that course, within a few weeks, you'll know if you're cut out to be a social worker. You'll know it. There'll be no doubt in your mind. And if it's not for you, you move on. And you've been taking those other courses like sociology, like Mary DeClue, or psychology, and maybe your interests lie there. So, but take the intro course as soon as you can, and just to make sure you're in the right major. So anyway, if you look at the handout I gave you, that first sheet talks about why you would do social work at St. Louis U. The second sheet, which is most important for you and your parents, shows you the different jobs you can get with a social work degree. With social work, we work with people from conception to the grave. If you'll notice on that sheet, we work with mothers who want to adopt a baby. We work with mothers who want to give up a child for adoption. We work with runaways and throwaways. How many of you know of someone who's run away from home? All right. How many of you know of someone who's been kicked out of their home? What was the reason? Too much trouble. Who else had their hands up? What? Sexual orientation. The two major reasons kids get kicked out of their home are boys come out of the closet, girls come home pregnant. Those are the two reasons. Parents freak out, right? But usually parents get over their anger in a few days and they let their teen come back home because they love their teen, right? But in about 10% of the cases, the parents won't. Either they just can't deal with the lifestyle, or the child has embarrassed them too much, or it's a dangerous place for that kid to be, so the kid can't come back home. So social workers have to find group homes for those kids. That's something else we work with. We work with homeless kids, we work with runaway kids, throwaway kids. We also work with people who have mental illness, people who are just getting out of prison. In your sociology class, you probably read that about 20 years ago, when the crack cocaine epidemic hit, our legislators imposed 20-year prison sentences on anyone caught with crack cocaine, caught selling it or distributing it. They got 20-year sentences. Those 20 years are up now. Those men are coming back home to communities that are worse off than when they left. And those men have been locked up for 20 years. Think about how much the world has changed in the 20 years they've been locked away. Social workers work with them to reintegrate them back into the community, to help them and their families. Social workers also work with people who are coming from the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, helping them to reintegrate back into their communities and their families because things have changed. We also work with people who are at the end of their lives, like in people who have Alzheimer's disease or dementia, or people who, how many of you know of someone in your family who should no longer be driving a car? Right. Social workers work with those people and their family and how to take the keys from that senior, and then how to put resources in place so that they're not isolated, because they still need to get to the grocery store, the dentist, the movie theater, things like that. So we work with people. We work with people who are children who've been abandoned at the hospital. Every day at children's hospitals around the world, little kids get abandoned. Their parents can't afford their care, or it's just too much, and they abandon kids. We work with those people as well. So those are the things social workers do. So I was just telling you all the things you can do with the social work degree. Basically, from conception to the grave, that's what social workers work with. Let's see. Most of our students at SLU graduate. I think our graduation rate in the School of Social Work is about 94%. And it's because by the time they get to us, they found their right major. Remember, they started out as pre-med or nursing or something, but by the time they get to us, they found their major. And then most of our students go on to grad school. We have a program at SLU where you can get 2 degrees in 5 years. You can get your undergrad degree in 4 years, and then 1 additional year you can get your master's degree. So 2 degrees, 5 years. If you already do 2 years here, you'll have 2 degrees by the time you go to us in those last 3 years. And the way it works is that your social work courses, you have to have B or better in your social work courses, and an overall GPA of at least 3.0. No matter what your GPA is now, if you get into SLU, you start over. So you don't bring this GPA with you, no matter what it is. If you can get in, you start off at 0. And if you get all A's your first semester, you're at a 4.0. So once you're in, it's a clean slate just for your social work courses, and based on that, we'll let you know if you can qualify for our 1-year master's. If you don't, the master's takes about 2 years. But most of our students go on to grad school. I'd say 80% of our students go on to grad school, whether they go on to med school, they've gotten their act together, they go to law school, but most of them go into our master's program or someone else's master's program around the country. Every year, maybe about 2 or 3 students decide they've had enough of school, they're done. They don't want to go to grad school, they just want to get a job. In about 2 or 3 years, they're back because they found that the pay they've made with just an undergrad degree is too low, and they realize they need a master's degree. So either they're trying to get into our master's degree, or they're wanting me to write a letter of recommendation to get them into someone else's master's degree. Also, we have students who decide to take off a year or 2 between undergrad and grad and go to Peace Corps. How many of you know about the Peace Corps? We have students who do that. We also have students who will take a year or 2 off and do Teach for America, City Year, or Jesuit Volunteer Corps. It's sort of like Peace Corps. And then they'll come back and do their master's. I already told you about our study abroad program. I've told you about the master's program, 1 year. I think I've covered it all. So do you guys have any questions? Oh, I'll tell you this. I did my first 2 years at a community college, and like Mary DeClue back there, my undergrad degree is in sociology. My minor was social work, and then I went on and got my master's and my PhD. Yeah. No questions? Okay, I'll let the next person come up. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Sharon Jackson. I'm the Director of Social Work Department at Fontbonne University. First, I want to say thank Susie for inviting us, all of our social work departments and schools, out to Jefferson College. And I think this really represents the collaborative effort of social work that you'll see in our profession, that all of our schools are here together trying to give you the information to help you make the best decision for your education. And that's how social workers think. You know, when you look at a university, you should first be looking at the culture of the university, and what supports the culture is the mission and the vision of the university. So that's the first thing you should be looking at when you look at a college. What is their mission? What is their culture? What are their values? And is it a right fit for me? And each one of our programs offer a different flavor of that. I'll tell you a little bit about Fontbonne. We are a Catholic university. We're small, private liberal arts. We're located across from Washington University in Forest Park area. Our program was just accredited in June 2013, and we were really focused on creating general practitioners, which means being employable with the BSW. And two things that you might want to look at is the Social Work Reinvestment Act that is policy that's going through the federal government. The National Association of Social Work is supporting that. That's going to create opportunities for social work. Also, the Affordable Care Act is creating more opportunities for social workers. Our program has a focus on rural America, and there's a high need for BSWs in rural areas because we focus on specialist practice, which is case management. And the Affordable Care Act is concerned about patients getting the services that they need so they don't keep re-entering treatment. So that's part of our program. It's one of our goals is rural focus and really making strong BSW students. That being said, about 85 to 90% of our students go on to get their master's, their MSW. And they do go to SLU. They apply to SLU, UMSL, all the schools in the St. Louis area. Some are now starting to look outside of Missouri, but for the most part, they want to stay in the Missouri area. Our program goals, I think one thing that the uniqueness of our program, how we might be different than other programs, if you look at our curriculum, we have a foundation core, which all programs have, but in that core, we have a spirituality and religion for professional practice course. And that is important, not only speaks to the mission of our university, but it also speaks to a need in social work, that most of the people that we help are having problems or issues. Religion and spirituality is an important part to help them solve those problems. So this course introduces you to all different religions and spirituality and how to address those when you're working with clients or communities or agencies. What role does that play in it? We also require you to take an etiquette for social work profession, and this allows you to, just down to the basic introductions, handshakes. You'll find when you're in social work, if you move into administration, you'll be invited to dinners and fundraisers, so you need to know how to appropriately communicate with people in that setting. And the etiquette course helps you address that. We also have professional practice courses, which you'll see at the bottom. You take your foundation courses and then, excuse me, you select 4 of these professional practice courses. All of these courses are taught by MSWs who are licensed professionals working in the community right now. The students like that approach because these courses are social workers working in this area, and they bring their experience and opportunities with them into the classroom. So you pick, some of those areas are counseling and case management, aging and disability, health and mental health, families and schools, criminal justice, and administration. Your master's level education, that's when you specialize. You might take, BSW is just focused on generalist practice. Louder, okay. I thought, okay. The BSW is just focused on generalist practice. Your MSW is where you pick a major, an area, and you specialize in it. You can also do an independent study at the MSW level, but don't worry about that. The undergraduate BSW is to help you develop those basic practice skills and then determine what area you want to specialize in and make you good practitioners. Additionally, you need to, when you look at a university, look at the faculty and what their interests are. Because the faculty, again, add to that culture of the university, and what they're studying and researching is added to the curriculum and opportunities for yourself. So on our sheet, you'll see the faculty and their different interest areas. It kind of shows that. And then some of the characteristics on the bottom of the sheet also defined the characteristics of Fontbonne. Fontbonne University is a teaching institution. That's the other thing to distinguish the difference. Some universities are research universities, some are teaching universities. Fontbonne is a teaching university, so our teachers come there to teach. Some are involved in research, but the funding and the resources go to make our faculty better teachers and to support our students. A research university is important to produce research and new knowledge for the professions in the academic areas. So you may or may consider that. Do I want to go to a university that's a research focused or teaching focused? Which one best fits my needs? All of our courses are taught by social workers with the minimum MSW. Our classes are fairly small. They are small by a lot of standards. You have anywhere between 5 to 15 students in your classes, your undergraduate classes. We have field trips, service trips, agency tours. We also have an honor society, a social work club, a Facebook group, all the social networking opportunities. And one other thing I wanted to review with you is the admissions to the social work program. So if you decide Fontbonne is the program for you, you come in and select social work as your major, but then you need a formal admissions into the program, which is we define it as your formal introduction into the profession of social work, because our goal is to make you professionals. Part of those requirements, you write a personal statement, make sure all your university transcripts are on file with our registrar's office, completing 100 and 110 with a GPA of 2.5 or better, and reading the NAS Code of Ethics. I would encourage you to do that now, if Susie hasn't had you doing that already, because those ethics really define who we are, and you have to agree to operate and behave according to the ethics in your personal life, because when you decide on this profession, it does move into your personal life in different ways. So read those and make sure that's something that you can do, that you choose to do in your career. Then also, you enrolled as a student in good standing. We also require a security screening, which is done through the Missouri Highway Patrol. And this is important because if you have background issues, it may prevent you from getting into different practicums or placements. You have a one-time counseling appointment where you meet with a counselor, which is a social worker on campus, and then to review the state licensure requirements. Once you complete that admissions packet, you turn that in, and then it gets reviewed, and you get accepted into the program. I think all schools have some form of formal admissions process beyond the major. Then I encourage you to Fontbonne, we're small, just give Mary Kay Sullivan, our secretary, a call, and you can come out and visit, sit in on one of the classes, meet the other students. Because for Fontbonne, we encourage the small and the collaboration among students and the connection. And I think you can get a feel for that if you actually come onto the campus and meet the other students. Okay? All right. Any questions? Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. You're going to ask that. It's hard to I think we're at 26, but 85% of our students receive some type of scholarship or financial aid. The thing to think about, public universities and private universities, while public universities may be, I don't want to say cheaper, a bad word, less expensive, private universities have scholarships and endowments that help fund that. So I think the first thing you should do is look at, I have to find a university or school that's going to fit me. I just fit in here, and then the money will come after that. So, and all of our schools offer something unique. It'll be fit for one of you. Okay.
Hi, my name's Dana Clark, and I'm with Lindenwood University. I too want to first thank Professor Welch and also Professor DeClue, and please send my thank you to Professor Fry for having us here. And it's great to see all the colleagues out there and to meet some of them for the first time. But I'm with Lindenwood University, as I said, in St. Charles. I am I'm learning. I don't have a tablecloth because this is my first time to do one of these. In June, I switched from field education director to the program director or the department chair of social work there at Lindenwood. So I'll bring a tablecloth next time. We are in Lindenwood, located approximately 45 miles from here, but we are in St. Charles County. So in your journey to us, you will at some point cross the Missouri River. St. Charles is a smaller riverfront town, so hopefully maybe some of you visited there because it was the first capital of the state of Missouri. So a lot of history there, a lot of beautiful brick roads on the riverfront, and a lot of historical homes. So in that spirit, Lindenwood tries to have an incredibly beautiful campus that we've been building and adding, and I think we have a very beautiful campus. And then we tend to try to get other properties that will serve us well. So one of the things we have is the Daniel Boone home. So it's about 25 miles west of us, but our students sometimes go out there for classes or retreats and have activities because that is part of the LU property as well. We have an incredibly diverse campus. So, you know, we have Division II sports and we have other lifetime sports that brings a lot of diversity, but we also have a number of relationships with international colleges and universities. So we actually have over 1,000 students on campus who represent 96 different countries. So if you're wanting to experience a little diversity, see students from other places, we have a tremendous amount of diversity. With that many on campus, that's about close to 20% of our living on campus area, only about 10% of our enrollment, but a large part of our enrollment are commuters, are our older people in our LCIE program. We have an adult education program as well. A little bit more about our social work program. It's about 80 students, encompassing all 4 of the years of social work. At this time, we have got about 80 students in our program. Sort of like SLU, we bring in some students, a number of students that are transferring in, either from community colleges or after they've been a year or two in nursing or psychology or education, coming on over. So we do have quite a few transfer students that we work with to find the right classes and to do the right things. We have 4 dedicated faculty full-time to the social work program and 2 adjuncts at this time. 3 of our 4 have a terminal degree, meaning they have a doctorate in the area of study, and 3 of the 4 are licensed clinical social workers. So they would be the ones teaching your practice classes, your skills classes on practice with individuals, families, and communities. I wanted to tell you, let's see, due to our location, a lot of our practicum sites are in the St. Charles County area, are west, so we tend to pick up more rural sites. We want to be ready and capable and have our students ready and capable for working in any counties that they might encounter, particularly the rural counties. So we have students placed also in Lincoln County and also in Warren County. And so the emphasis and the focus sometimes of the work they'll be doing is a little bit different. There's some, certainly case management, there's methamphetamine work with substance abuse of a different level than that we'll see in St. Louis County and St. Louis City, which we do have student placements in those areas as well. So we've got placements in at least 5 counties in the area. That we try to focus on and have a little bit more of a rural emphasis, though, knowing that a lot of our students come from there and we place students there. So that brings us to some special topics classes. In addition to our core classes, we have special topics like on theory and treatment of substance abuse, community peace building, first responders, restorative justice, different classes that are more down at that community-based level. Let's see, I was going to say, similar to Fontbonne, we are a liberal arts but a teaching university. So the focus is there on the teaching and on the classroom and being with students, and we pride ourselves on having small classes. I think the average size is 15, 16 students. In social work, it ranges from 10 to 20. We do, though, recognize the value of scholarship and research, and in fact, the president just started last year. The president of Lindenwood started offering scholarships to students or professional development funding for students. So we were taking advantage of that. We wanted to be one of those groups right in there on the front, and just last spring, we sent 5 of our students. They had their full way paid and the expenses paid. They went with the 2 faculty who were presenting at the Missouri NASW Social Work Conference out in the Lake of the Ozarks. So 5 students got to go along with them and sort of assist in that presentation. It was a great experience for everybody. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you? We have a really great success rate in placement directly from practicum. While a number of our students go directly to grad school, I would say our numbers are more in the 50 to 75% range, that they might go to a grad school, a number of them in the area, but some have been lately going to Chicago area. Those who want to stay and take their first job and maybe go to grad school a little later, 75–80% of them are finding those jobs right in their practicum areas. Our students are doing so well in their practicum that a number of them are getting job offers from their practicum sites. And the highlight of our program is that we are in the School of Human Services. So some of the other programs that are in our school are criminal justice, nonprofit administrations, fire and paramedic sciences, Christian ministry studies. So a number of our students will minor in one of those areas. So one that I think is incredibly powerful is the social work major and the minor in nonprofit administration, because then you have some core courses in budgeting and fiscal management and grant writing and fundraising and all those things that will help any social worker, in doing work in the community. Probably one of the most important things, we're really proud of and work really hard to recognize that our students typically have jobs, sometimes have other lives, can be pretty busy in their lives. So a lot of our core classes, a lot of those, particularly from transfer students, you're focused on junior, senior level classes. Almost all of the social work classes are offered on Tuesdays and Thursdays only, and in that very last semester they're only on Wednesdays, because we know you've got to be in the field for 400 hours that last semester. We know that you're focused on working in agencies, so we only have you come in on Wednesdays. On the other, mostly juniors and seniors are there only on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's because we do block classes, so we put a lot of our classes together. Policy 1 and 2, our practice 1 and 2, and you'll do one class at the beginning of the semester and the other class immediately after the second half of the semester, and so in a semester you knock out 2 classes with your block of time. And it works really well. We were worried because it's kind of intense. We build in a lot of lab time, but the students love it. We've only been doing this about 2 years, and the students are like, this is great, because they retain the information, they like the knowing when they'll be in class, being able to plan for work and other things. So the feedback we've been getting is really, really great. At this time, we do not have an MSW program. We have been approved by our board to pursue one. Maybe in 3 or 4 years, we hope to have one. But as I said, a lot of our students are going into some of these other programs, or they're going out of state more recently. And of course, as an accredited program, they have advanced standing. So they have anywhere from 12 to 24 was the highest we've gotten recently, 24 hours of credit already when they walk into a graduate program. So it's excellent. And yeah, I think that's about everything. I tried to cover it all for you, but do you have any questions for me? Yes. There is in the state of Missouri at this time a license for bachelor's level social workers. And so I believe you can sit, I don't know the exact specifics on that, but I believe you can take that test after graduation, that you can be licensed pretty quickly, yes. So, any other questions? Thank you for that. Well, thanks again. I have some questions on my table that doesn't have a tablecloth, but come visit. Thank you very much.
Last but not least, so this, I get the advantage of hearing everybody else, and I can try to think about the specifics that I want to share. So my name, again, is Lori Curtis, and I am the BSW Advising Coordinator and Outreach Coordinator for the School of Social Work at University of Missouri, St. Louis. And so other women have given you a great overview of the kinds of things you can do with a social work degree, the kinds of job opportunities that are out there, master's degrees, licensure, all that kind of stuff. So in terms of UMSL, we are the public institution in the St. Louis area. And so I think it was Sharon from Fontbonne, remember that up front, that mentioned, you know, money should not be the only factor in deciding which school you need to, you know, that you're most interested in. Definitely the program, the culture, those kinds of things are what is most important. And at UMSL, our tuition is much cheaper. And we don't, since many of our students are part-time, we, you know, I don't have like, this is how much it is per year, but for a 3 credit hour class, it's roughly $1,000, you know, and that includes all the other random fees that go along that get, you know, it's like there's the tuition and there's this fee that you have to pay and that fee and this fee and that fee. So, and there are some scholarship opportunities, as well as, you know, the whole package of financial aid that includes, you know, Pell Grants and loans and that kind of stuff. So, so some of the things that are potentially unique about our program is, as I mentioned, many of our students are part-time. We have a largely non-traditional student body, meaning that we definitely have some students that are, you know, in their early 20s, you know, that they've gone straight from high school to, you know, into college. But we also have a lot of people who are coming back to school a little bit later. And to me, that's one of the things that makes our classes and our program so exciting, is that we have diversity in every realm that you can imagine in every single class. You know, so people of different races, different ages, different genders, sexual orientation, socioeconomic background, all of that comes together in our classes to really create this opportunity for people to really learn from each other's experiences, because the students are not at all like one another. So, so we have, you know, that diversity in our students. Most of our students are working, so our program, we have day classes and evening classes available. All of our required classes are offered at least once a year in the evening, so they may not be every semester in the evening, but a lot of them are every semester in the evening. So we can accommodate, you know, if somebody's working during the day, you can take your classes in the evening. If you're working in the evening, you can take your classes during the day. And again, we have a lot of students that are part-time. So we really, we don't have a time limit on how, you know, how quickly anybody has to finish their bachelor's degree. So if it takes somebody 10 years, it takes them 10 years. And that is completely fine. You know, we don't want to push anybody to do more than what's reasonable. We really work with each student to figure out what is going to be the best balance in your life, you know, because for most of our students, school is not the only thing, and oftentimes not the primary thing. You know, that our students are working, they have families, they have other commitments and obligations, and so taking 15 credit hours a semester might be the right path for one student, and that might be disaster for somebody else because they wouldn't have the time to be successful doing that. So we really try to, you know, figure out, you know, on a one-on-one basis to what's going to be the best, you know, the best plan of action. And so with that, all of the advising for social work students is done in the School of Social Work, which, you know, is a challenge at times because there's 2 of us that do all of the advising, and we also teach full-time as well. So at certain times of the year, it's a little crazy. Registration time's nutty, but it's all right. We love it. And so students who come to UMSL, whether they are freshmen or transfer students, and the majority of our students are transferring in, oftentimes with an associate's degree from one of the community colleges in the area. But anybody that is brand new to the university is considered a pre-social work major. And then depending on at what point in their academic career they are transferring in, within the first semester, first year usually, then the student would be eligible to apply to the BSW program. And And so, but from the beginning of when you're a pre-social work major all the way through, you're seeing a social work advisor. So, and that's been just in the past couple of years that we've taken in all of the pre-social work students as well, and that was for a combination of reasons, one of them being that the general advisors have to keep track of however many degrees UMSL has, and so sometimes they weren't necessarily providing the best guidance for students in terms of which electives would be the most appropriate, which general education classes would also, fit into the social work degree. So now we take care of all of that, right there in the School of Social Work. So in addition to, to all of the core required courses for the BSW, our students also need to take electives and all the gen eds. So if you're graduating with your associate's degree from here with the general transfer requirements, your gen eds are fine when you get to UMSL. So you'll just jump right into the junior level things and go from there. But most of our students complete one or more minors or certificate programs along with their degree. And partly because there's so many related disciplines that it can be really easy to tack on one or more of those things with just taking 2 or 3 more classes. So most commonly our students get a minor in psychology or sociology. Criminal justice is another relatively common one. Sometimes political science, anthropology, business. And then we have certificate programs, which a lot of times students are like, okay, what's a minor, what's a certificate? Okay, so at UMSL anyhow, a minor is typically 15 credit hours or 5 classes in one department. So like a department that offers a bachelor's degree, you can also get a minor by taking 5 classes in that department. A certificate is interdisciplinary, meaning that you might take 1 class in this department and 2 classes in that department and another class over here, and what ties them together is not necessarily the discipline but the topic area. And most of the certificates are either 15 or 18 hours, and so the more common, probably the 2 most common certificates that social work students take at this time are the trauma studies certificate and gender studies certificate. The gerontology program is also housed within the School of Social Work. Right now we don't have a bachelor's level degree in gerontology, but there's also a gerontology certificate. And then at the university, I know that there was a nonprofit management certificate that was housed in one area and that went away, and now I believe there's another nonprofit certificate minor creeping up in another area. And then there's also a sort of a side thing from the trauma studies certificate. They're also developing a specific child trauma certificate. So, and with a lot of these certificates or minors, you might only need to take 2 or 3 extra classes besides what you're already required to take for your BSW. So, I always tell students, especially if you have electives that you need to get to the number of hours to graduate, all of our degrees require a minimum of 120 credit hours. So if you've got all your gen eds done, you've got the plan for which classes you need to get your degree in, and you still need 3 or 4 elective classes to get to your 120 hours, then I absolutely encourage students to, package those electives to be able to get a minor or certificate, because that's something else that you can put on your resume, that can just help you potentially stand out a little bit from a student who doesn't have that certificate. So, so in the folders I have over here, I'll make sure I get those passed out when I'm done. But we did include the information on the trauma studies certificate and the gender studies certificate, so that you can have a sense of what those are involved with. So the main campus for UMSL is located in St. Louis County, North County, near the airport. But we also have several outreach locations, and for social work we have one outreach location at Mineral Area College, which is in St. Francis County, so just a little bit further south from here. So that's something else for all of you to consider, especially if you live, more in the southern areas in Jefferson County. It might be closer for you to go to Mineral Area College to complete your degrees than to drive into North County of St. Louis. So we have the BSW completion, so the junior, senior level classes for the BSW, as well as the MSW offered at Mineral Area College. So definitely ask me questions about that. And have any of you had contact with Sue Bateman here? Okay, Sue Bateman is the UMSL Transfer Advisor Coordinator person who goes to a few different sites, and she's at Jefferson College, I think 1 or 2 days a week, and she's also at Mineral Area College. So she knows the transfer program into both UMSL and Mineral Area College really well. So you can also bug her and tell her I sent you. But she can give you a lot of information about that. So if for students that are getting their degree at Mineral Area College, it is an UMSL degree. You're taking your UMSL classes, you are an UMSL student, you just happen to be taking your classes at a different location than coming into St. Louis. I mentioned that we also have the MSW program at MAC. The MSW program at UMSL we started the program in 1999, the MSW, and became fully accredited, I think it was in 2002, three to 4 years later. So both our BSW and MSW programs have been around for a while, fully accredited, and we have a lot of students. So it's really exciting. We have, in our MSW program, we probably have about 150 students. And in the BSW program, if you count the pre-social work as well as the students that have been admitted to the BSW program, it's probably close to 400 students. But with that, we also have a large enough faculty that our class sizes are still small. Most of your classes will be 20 students or less. So that gives you those opportunities to get to know your classmates, get to know your professors. UMSL is a research institution, but there's a very strong teaching component as well. So amongst our full-time faculty, and I was trying to count in my head, I hope I'm not miscounting or leaving somebody off, but I think we have 16 full-time faculty in the School of Social Work, and 10 of them are researchers, meaning they have their PhD, they're on tenure track, and so they teach, but a significant amount of their time is also in doing research. And then we have 6 full-time faculty who are teaching faculty. Those of us that have our master's degree is our highest degree, and our focus is completely on teaching and student services. So with that balance, you would be taking classes from teaching faculty that have LCSWs and that practice experience, as well as taking classes with PhD faculty who are doing amazing research worldwide. So you get that nice combination. And then we also have several adjunct faculty that are usually practicing clinicians that also supplement that. So I'm trying to think. We also have a Student Social Work Association, which for the first time ever has a really huge budget this year. The students last year did an amazing job of lobbying and networking and whatever it is that they had to do to get money. And so we've got money this year, which is super exciting for the students to be able to have, a variety of different kinds of programs. And, like we had a barbecue about the second or third week of class. And I don't even know how many hundreds of hamburgers and hot dogs and bags of chips and stuff that the association was able to provide for students instead of our more typical potluck, everybody brings something yourself. So we have a very active Student Social Work Association, as well as a multitude of other student organizations on campus that we really encourage our students to also get involved with. Because UMSL, we have that blend of traditional, non-traditional students. The majority of our students are commuter students, but we do also have a significant and very nice student housing that many students do live on campus, and so they They only have to walk to classes. They don't have to find parking. So I hope I'm not missing anything. What questions do you all have? Okay.